Couch Podcast, and I'm Nirupa, and I have with me.
Hi, I'm Deekshika.
Lovely. So, what we're going to do today, this bright sunny morning, is review one of the books that Deekshika gave me for the first time, and this is the first book basically that we exchanged.
This is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. It's a short novella around 140 pages. Was nominated for the Booker Prize 2022. This is written by an Irish author, and how I came across it, probably I'll give a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So I follow Jack Edwards. He is an amazing booktuber, and I started following him since when he started talking about his college days. He has studied literature and all of that. So I kind of read a lot of books that he has recommended, and this was one of them. And he had said something like that if you had to read one book this year, pick this one. And I was like, oh my god, that's like a very high like praise for a book. I was like, let's pick it up. And also, I think I'm a huge Normal People fan, written by Sally Rooney.
The series?
The series, I think even before the series,
The book was,
yeah. So I've also read like Sally Rooney's all her works. So I think I take it from there in terms of Irish literature. I think it's really interesting. So I thought let's give it a try. And I was blown away, especially with the writing. A little bit about the book. So this is set in 1985 in an Irish town. It kind of leads up to Christmas. And we are recording in December.
during Christmas
Very
time.
Christmassy right now in Bangalore. So this goes into with all these good feelings, but then it starts unraveling something. It's like a historic fiction as well, political as well as historic,
And I think it's very political.
it's very political. So this talks about Magdalene Laundries. It was like a political, religious, institutionalized religious institution back in the days. And it kind of went up till 1996, I think. It was very
It was apparently there for like I think 200 years plus. Yeah. And what they used to do is all these women who had illegitimate children, or they were doing illegitimate work like prostitution and everything. Ultimately, they used to bring all of them to these Magdalene laundries, and it was an actual laundry. So the work that they did there was ironing and folding clothes and washing and everything. But they were treated so badly in these institutions. They were literally slaves. And what used to happen, I've also read that some of these women were locked up in rooms without window, without air, and they used to be given just one time food. And they used to have all kinds of these harsh punishments.
I think also like sexual abuse as
Yes,
well, like
yeah.
a lot of sexual abuse, and not just, I think it's not just prostitution kind of work,
No, it
but
was not.
also like children who are born outside of wedlock,
Yes,
or
illegitimate.
yeah. So it was like from a religious point of view, it was termed that these are impure people,
Impure people,
yeah, and we need to punish them, but it was also not shown in the outside that this is what is happening, but it was kind of, I think through the book we get to know that it was kind of known as well by the
It was. I think everybody kind of knew that there's something weird, strange happening inside the Magdalene laundries, but because it was related to the Catholic religious church, nobody really went ahead and tried to investigate what was actually happening inside. And I think that's the power of religion, right? Sometimes you fix something onto a religion, and then you feel like no, it must be holy, and it might be for a holy
Yeah,
purpose.
it becomes difficult to question because it's so powerful in our society, especially back in the day.
Back in the day, yeah.
But I think I would like to talk a little bit about the writing, because I think it's like it was totally mesmerizing or absolutely powerful to know that as a writer with such, with just 140 pages,
Yeah.
not even 140, it's just 120 pages,
pages, yeah.
that so much was like unpacked, so much was like, I did not know about Magdalene Laundries.
I did
and
not know as well.
yeah, and while going into the story, I thought, what's happening, this is interesting. And then the way it kind of packs punches,
Yeah.
and in a way that's not also like eventful.
Yeah. I think two things that I love the most, and I told you this as well, that they actually dive very deep into the character. And they sort of, even the main character, Bill, she actually talks about his feelings and how he is and how the feelings of his family are. So we sort of journey with Bill's family, his wife, his children, and as you read, you feel like you're actually there.
Actually, yeah, that's true.
And the writing is very Irish, like it's got Irish slang.
Yes.
But another thing that I love is she has made a very important issue that was happening in Ireland. How she has made it into a simple novella, yet an impactful one. I think that combination is difficult. It's very easy to get into the Bill Furlong story and forget that ultimately it's about the Magdalene Laundries.
Yeah.
But I think she's sort of put those feelings very well. And you start loving the character, Bill's character, who is confused, very humanly, but still righteous. And yeah, you sort of ease into it.
I think I also think that for me, like when I was reading it, when I completed the book, I then went and did some research on what this political or historic event was. And not even, it went on for decades. But I also felt that the story was larger than that. It was also talking about how, and I think there were a lot of dialogues also. There were a lot of sentences where talked about what's the point of life if you're not helping another human being, right? And it talks about not just righteousness or morality, because again that's very subjective, it's very cultural, and again it's dependent on the society that we're born in, living, growing up.
I mean, do you really have the courage to, make that right choice and help people? It also depends on that. It's not very black and white. I feel.
Exactly,
It's very gray.
And also the fact that this whole Magdalene Laundries was around children born out of wedlock, and also Bill was one who was born outside of marriage, right? He never knew who his father was. So
So the whole family dynamic.
that whole reflection from Bill's point of view. He's someone who thinks a lot. There's a lot that's going in his
I could relate to him.
Same, I could also.
Because I think a lot, I think it takes me 2 days to come to a conclusion on whether I should order what on Swiggy. So I think a lot. But that's something I really liked him. And I think she's made him very raw. And she's made him different from men of that age. Because he's more supportive to women. He feels for them. And he understands that he needs to do something for them. So it's a very refreshing, character as a person.
And I also liked how initially he described his spouse. Like someone who is very, the words that he chose, like someone who thinks and also, of course,
Someone who's
takes
practical.
care, practical.
I think he thinks that she's better than him. I always felt like he thinks that she's better.
And I think initially it also talks about that how he's not sure that even though he spent almost 4 decades of his life, he's 40 plus, and he has 5 daughters, raising them up. He has a very comfortable life. He's a coal worker, collects coal, delivers coal, and he likes his job. He has a good reputation in the town. People love him, thinks highly of him in terms of like he's someone who would earn, work, and have a good family life. But then he also thinks about that the time is just passing. And what am I doing with this time? And it starts off with that. And then it goes to this point where he sort of starts having a purpose where he wants to help this child.
At the Magdalene Laundries. I think the town is also character. I felt like, the status of the town, they wanted to protect that as well. And that's why nobody came up and really helped these women at the Magdalene Laundries. Because remember that interaction where he had with the woman at the shop, and she says, don't mess with Catholic and religion and everything. So I don't know. I think earlier there were concepts of these atheism and these were not there. I think believed in religion. Everybody prayed to God, and Christmas was more of a religious thing than a festival that we celebrate now. So I think all of
And I
that
think it's
added.
also dependent on probably small towns. Like
Small
if it's a
towns.
smaller place and you kind of know everyone how it is in smaller towns. Things like these, I think, for example, religion or rituals or what you should believe in and should do, it is hugely influenced by these things.
By these things,
Yeah.
yeah.
The contrast is probably quite different. So,
Yeah. I was reading about it. After reading the book, I obviously went back and looked at, whether there are any survivors and how did the story come about. Because I've also heard that nobody knows the full story. Nobody knows what actually happened inside and what each woman went through. We only know snippets of it. But I got to know that there are survivors, there are couples who are living together, and the trauma that they're facing, and they still talk about how they have nightmares about it, and for a long time they couldn't sleep because they kept thinking that somebody will come and punish them and so on and so forth. How they could not start a family after, because even if they started a family, it's become difficult for them, because they are deep into depression and
so when
things like that.
were they like released from the whole thing? And what
I think
age?
I think that different women were released at different stages, but ultimately what happened was they were going to sell the matrimonial laundries. So at that time in Ireland, sorry, I was going to say Iran. At that time in Ireland, what happened was if you have to sell a land, you basically have to investigate the land first. So the police came and they let them investigate. That's also a little bit of a strange thing for me, because if you knew that all these were happening, why would you let them investigate? But they actually investigated, and I think they found about 150 corpses. Yeah, inside. It was like they had buried these women, and nobody knew who these women were. So, and that's how they sort of found it, and stories were written. You were also telling me about this
Yeah,
one.
so actually, basically, Oprah's book club, they also have like picked this book a few months back, and I was watching this interview where she was interviewing Claire Keegan, and they had also found someone who has actually published the book. She's a survivor. She is, I think, 60 plus now, and she has written a book. And when she was narrating the story again, like she still had those jitters and tears,
Of course,
even at 60, at this age also, that's so still like, I don't think we can still like really make like understand the magnitude
yeah,
of
it
it,
becomes a part of your life.
part of your life. She actually said that she around mid 30s she had like thought of ending her life,
Ending her life.
because she was talking that how these things, if you don't deal with them, and it's obviously extremely difficult to deal with them,
Correct.
those things kind of come back at you.
I think some of them also try to run away.
Run away,
Yeah. And this is also a story similar to that. Of
And it's also it's at such a scale, also at such a degree that a lot of people will not be able to understand or help you, because it's prolonged. Firstly, it's
For so
over the
long, yeah.
years, yeah.
And
you
also
can-
because the society also sees them as impure women, like you said.
Yeah.
It's difficult for them to seek help.
Right.
And I think when one can't seek help, then it just gets carried on, and the trauma stays, and until you sort
Yeah.
of.
Well, I think when you said about the impure thing, actually she was saying how she she goes back to that nun, and she confronts her, and she has a supporter who kind of helps her come up with the story, write that book, get it published, and all of that. And they both go, and the person, the man who is kind of the supporter, asks the nun that why did you do
Why
all
did
of
you do
this
it?
and all of, and she goes on to say that, do you have kids? And this guy says, yes, I have kids. And he's like, would you want your kids to really be friends with someone like you. And that whole that kind of goes on to show that if you really don't use your own intelligence and just keep doing whatever like around you things are going, that's so relevant for even our day-to-day lives. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
like if we just keep on listening, and I think it's very difficult to do, especially the kind of relationship that you have, like your closer relationship maybe with parents, with certain friends, or maybe at workplace. The
Yeah.
influence is always very strong, but I think that having that check that no, I really need to listen also to myself. Like what is
But I
right?
think
What
they
is
were
wrong?
also deep into religion.
Yeah.
So they listened to everything that the church said.
Correct.
And I don't think they learned to think beyond that.
Beyond that.
And that's also why as a woman, I always, when I finished the book, I was like, as a woman, why couldn't this nun, empathize with other women?
And
And
that was not there only, I think.
That
She,
was not
she
there.
thought
Yeah.
this is how it is.
And also children,
Yeah.
children, they were literally, what, 20 years? 30 years? I mean, hardly, I'm 30 right now, so it's like my age. So I can't believe that a woman did it to another woman.
Yeah. And it was all abusive, she was actually explaining in that interview that what all went on. And it's so like just to even think of that someone would want to do to a child, to someone
Yeah,
who's
it's crazy.
helpless, who's just a kid, is crazy, exactly.
Yeah, great book to pick up because it's small and it talks about a relevant period in Ireland. And I think books like these need to be encouraged because it's written in a way that everybody can read, firstly, because it's fiction, but it also covers a lot of interesting things that happened in history. So I think you should pick it up this Christmas. I read it in a day. If you don't have time to read it in a day, you can read it within 3 to 4 days. It's a very small book, and you can tell us what you felt about it.
Yeah, yeah. That's. I think that's the same thing. It's a great book to start with. Again, literary fiction and such a like it's easy. It's I wouldn't say easy breezy read. Of course not, because
Emotionally, it's a bit.
a bit charging, but it's also not. It'll not leave you feeling bad.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll just make you think probably. You would want to put yourself in the shoes and think. So that is there.
You'll
but
go
then-
back and want to know more about it, and that's a great thing, I think.
Yeah.
And that's what these kind of books do.
That's the power of good storytelling, good writing. Yes, and I think also I would like to end it here. That it was mentioned in Forbes list of 100 books of the century. So I would like to end it here.
Lovely.
That please go ahead and pick it up, and we'll be back with another episode.